Welcome to Golden Acre Homestead, where we turn everyday gardening into a simple, beautiful, homegrown harvest. But first, let's have an honest, heart-to-heart moment. Take a long, hard look at the botanical battlefield you barely survived this past summer.
Oh, don't remind me. 3 brutal months of hand-to-hand combat against cabbage worms, sweating through my shirt at 6 in the morning with a heavy hose, only for the afternoon heat to bake the soil dry by noon.
Exactly. You practically babysat those broccoli plants like they were your own children, only to watch pests turn the leaves into Swiss cheese. But here is the bizarre, almost magical paradox that 90% of backyard gardeners completely miss. That entire summer nightmare is about to pack its bags and vanish.
Wait, are you telling me we don't have to throw in the towel and surrender the garden beds until next May?
Not a chance. The insect armies are retreating. The scorching summer heat is finally backing down. And suddenly, crops that spent all July struggling for their lives start growing faster, tasting sweeter, and requiring almost zero daily fighting. The honest truth is that September is not the funeral of your garden. It is the single most overlooked planting window of the entire growing year.
12 specific crops, right? The ones that can carry our kitchens straight through the winter?
12 absolute powerhouse crops you can put into the dirt right now. They will feed your family all fall, laugh right in the face of freezing winter snow, or set you up for a massive harvest first thing next spring. But here's the catch. If you miss this narrow biological window, you simply don't get a do-over until next year.
So before anyone packs away their garden trowels or gives up on their raised beds, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now.
Let's unlock why fall gardening feels like an absolute biological cheat code. To understand the magic, you have to peek inside the plant cell itself. In the brutal heat of summer, extreme stress locks plants down. They burn all their energy just trying not to fry in the baking sun.
But when those crisp autumn nights roll in, something wild happens inside the leaves, doesn't it?
It's pure cellular chemistry. As nighttime temperatures drop, plants begin breaking down stored starches into free sugars, like glucose, fructose, and sucrose. They pump these concentrated sugars directly into their cellular sap. Why? Because sugar acts as a natural biological antifreeze.
It lowers the freezing point of the plant's internal fluids, just like throwing salt onto an icy winter highway.
Precisely. It is survival chemistry forged through millions of years of evolution. And it just so happens to make your homegrown vegetables taste like crisp, fresh candy. Now, let's break down the 12 incredible crops ready to take advantage of this invisible system. Crop number 1 is garlic, the patient titan of the fall garden.
Now, garlic is an oddball because unlike everything else you plant for a quick dinner, garlic asks you to put it in the dirt today, walk away, and wait all the way until next July.
That's the beauty of it. While every other crop gives you fast food, garlic plays the long game. Yet it is still the single most crucial thing you can tuck into the ground before the leaves turn red. You see, garlic is hardwired with an internal cold weather trigger that horticulturists call vernalization.
Meaning it literally requires a freezing winter chill just to form separate cloves.
Exactly. If a garlic clove doesn't experience roughly 6 to 8 weeks of soil temperatures below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, it will flat out refuse to split into a proper head. You end up with a single, disappointing, onion-shaped lump. That's why spring-planted garlic is such a heartbreak, and why agricultural university trials are blunt. Garlic planted in September produces the biggest, heaviest bulbs the following summer.
So walk us through the exact planting routine so nobody messes this up.
Here is the golden rule. Break your garlic bulb into individual cloves on the exact day you plant, not a week before or the exposed root base dries out. Push each clove pointed end up, 2 inches deep and 6 inches apart, in rows about a foot wide. Water it in once, tuck it in with some mulch, and walk away. That is literally the last thing it will ask of you until spring.
And underground, while the garden looks completely asleep, That root system is going crazy.
It explodes through October and November. That massive subterranean root infrastructure is why fall-planted garlic dwarf spring plantings every single time. If you live up north in chilly climates, plant hardneck varieties. They're rugged workhorses that produce an edible flower stalk in June called Escape, which tastes incredible sautéed in fresh butter. If you're down south, plant softneck garlic. It stores longer and handles mild winters with ease.
But what about our friends gardening in the deep south, where the soil never truly chills?
You have to outsmart the plant. Put your seed garlic in the refrigerator at 35 to 40 degrees for a solid 6 to 8 weeks before planting. If you skip that artificial winter, you'll spend 8 months growing an onion-sized disappointment. And for everyone else, don't plant too early in scorching early September dirt, or the cloves will push out tender green shoots that get scorched by the first hard freeze. Timing is everything. Moving right along to crop number 2, spinach. The Persian emperor's original candy.
And let's be crystal clear. We are definitely not talking about that soggy, flavorless spinach in plastic bags that turns into green slime in your fridge by Thursday.
Heaven forbid, no! We are talking about Savoy winter spinach. The leaves are thick, heavily crinkled, and feel like sturdy green leather. When you harvest this from beneath a frost blanket in January, while the dirt beneath your boots is frozen hard as iron, it tastes so remarkably sweet your neighbors will swear you added sugar to the cooking pot.
And this green actually has some serious historical prestige behind it, right?
Oh, it earned its crown centuries ago. Originating in ancient Persia, it arrived in China by the 7th century as a royal tribute from the King of Nepal, where they honorably christened it the Persian green. By 1533, Catherine de' Medici was so obsessed with it that when she moved from Florence to the French royal court, she demanded spinach be served at every single meal.
Which is why, to this very day, any classic dish served on a bed of spinach is called Florentine.
Look at you knowing your culinary history. Beyond the royal lore, Savoy spinach is an unmatched winter survivalist. University trials tracking freeze tolerance put varieties like Bloomsdale Savoy and Olympia among the rare champions that shrug off 0 degrees Fahrenheit totally unprotected. One four-season grower even recorded specialized spinach surviving at 9 degrees below zero.
How should gardeners get this seeded in the ground right now?
Sow your seeds ½ an inch deep and thin the seedlings to 4 inches apart. Your primary mission is to get a plant that is roughly 3/4 mature before your local daylight drops under 10 hours a day. Below that 10-hour light threshold, plant growth virtually halts. The garden becomes a natural outdoor refrigerator. It won't push new leaves, but it keeps existing ones crisp and fresh for months.
Any quick tips for dealing with warm, late summer soil?
If your afternoons are still baking in the 80s, spinach seeds will go dormant and rot. Simply wrap your seeds in a damp paper towel and pop them in the fridge for 4 days before planting, to trick them into thinking autumn has arrived. And remember the golden rule: never harvest frozen spinach leaves at 8 in the morning, or they'll collapse into a limp napkin by noon. Wait until 2 in the afternoon when the sun thaws them out, and cut only the outer leaves. That brings us to crop number 3, radishes, the 3-week payday.
Now that is my kind of crop. 22 days from dropping a tiny seed into the dirt to having fresh food on the table.
There is nothing else in the plant kingdom with an ROI like the humble radish. In the cooling soil of September, you can tuck a quick row of radishes into any bare 8-inch gap, between your garlic, along a raised bed border, or where your summer green beans just finished up.
And radishes are practically ancient history on a plate.
They were grown in ancient Egypt as far back as 2700 BC. The Greek historian Herodotus recorded that the laborers building the Great Pyramids were paid in daily rations of radishes, garlic, and onions. The ancient Greeks loved them so intensely, they forged solid gold replicas of radishes as offerings at the Temple of Apollo in Delphi.
Though didn't the Roman philosopher Pliny the Elder famously complain that radishes did nothing but give men terrible burps?
He certainly did. But historical digestion aside, radishes possess a secret superpower. Their seeds will cheerfully germinate in soil as cold as 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Sow them a quarter-inch deep, thin them to 2 inches apart, and stagger your plantings every 10 days so you don't get buried under 50 radishes all on the same Tuesday.
And what about the heavy artillery of the family? Like giant daikon radishes.
Daikon is nature's mechanical drill bit. Farmers plant acres of daikon because that massive, forearm-length taproot punches straight through dense, compacted clay soil. Over the winter, the root rots underground, leaving deep, aerated channels that store rainwater and organic nutrients for your spring crops. If you have a raised bed that feels as hard as a concrete sidewalk, sow daikon.
What's that old market gardener's carrot planting trick you always talk about?
Always toss a pinch of radish seed directly into your carrot rows when you sow. Radishes pop up in 4 days, marking the clean row line so you can weed confidently while the slow poke carrots take weeks to sprout. You'll harvest and eat the radishes long before the carrots even need the elbow room. Moving on to crop number 4, kale, the frost sugar alchemist.
Now, I know plenty of folks who swear they hate kale because summer kale tastes like bitter leather clippings. But cold weather completely changes the game, doesn't it?
It completely transforms it. Kale is where cold weather sugar accumulation becomes something you can literally taste. Take a tough summer kale plant, hit it with 3 or 4 solid autumn frosts, and it turns tender, mild, and almost buttery. Varieties like Vates routinely survive 5 degrees below zero, while Red Russian can take brutal sub-zero hits and bounce right back.
And kale grows almost everywhere across North America, right?
From Zone 2 all the way down to Zone 11. Space your transplants 12 to 18 inches apart. Always harvest the lower, outer leaves first, while leaving the central growing crown intact. Handled this way, a single kale plant turns into a continuous harvest machine for 5 straight months.
What should folks do when they walk out into their garden in mid-December and see their kale looking completely shriveled and flat on the ground?
Do not panic, and definitely do not rip it out. That dramatic drooping is a natural self-defense mechanism where the plant expels internal cellular moisture so its walls don't burst from ice crystals. The second the afternoon sun warms the air, it stands right back up like nothing happened. More kale is accidentally thrown away by panicked gardeners in December than is ever killed by actual winter. Next up is crop number 5, lettuce, the anti-bolting revolution.
Finally, no more watching your prized lettuce bolt into a bitter, flowering 3-foot stalk the second the sun peeks out.
Exactly. Bolting is triggered by long summer daylight paired with blazing heat. In September, those triggers completely disappear, making autumn the easiest, most stress-free season for salad greens. Loose leaf types go from seed to a fresh bowl of greens in 40 days using the cut and come again technique.
What varieties should people pick up if they want crisp salads heading into the holidays?
Look for rugged heirloom champions like Winter Density, Rouge d'Hiver, Marvel of 4 Seasons, and Red-Tinged Winter. Under a simple plastic low tunnel or cold frame in Zone 7, these beauties have survived ambient night chills as low as 10 degrees Fahrenheit.
Just make sure to stagger your seed sowings, right?
Yes. Plant small patches every 10 to 14 days. Your final October sowing will stay compact as daylight fades, sitting quietly in your garden all winter like a living pantry asset, ready to burst into explosive growth the moment late winter light returns. If late summer soil is still above 80 degrees, remember thermal dormancy. Start seeds indoors in the cool air conditioning and transplant them out a week later. That brings us to crop number 6, turnips, the ancient lantern and royalty's forgotten delicacy.
Turnips really get a bad rap in modern cooking, but they are an incredible 2-for-1 deal in a survival garden.
Absolutely. A single turnip seed gives you tender, mineral-rich leafy greens above ground and a dense, sweet root below in just 50 days. Humans have cultivated turnips for over 4,000 years. In ancient Rome, they were so dirt cheap and plentiful, that angry citizens famously hurled them as missiles at unpopular politicians in the streets.
And long before carved pumpkins took over American front porches, wasn't the original jack-o'-lantern a carved turnip?
It sure was. In ancient Ireland and Scotland, during the Festival of Samhain, families hollowed out massive turnips, carved fearsome faces into the skin, and dropped hot, glowing coals inside to ward off wandering spirits. The National Museum of Ireland still holds a preserved cast of one of those original turnip lanterns carved in Donegal around 1900.
And modern cold-weather turnips taste nothing like the bitter boiled turnips Grandma used to make.
Not even close. A November frost converts those root starches into rich sugars that roast down sweet enough to sit next to a holiday roast. If traditional varieties don't excite you, plant Japanese Hakure salad turnips. They mature in 35 days, look like smooth white golf balls, and are so crisp and sweet you can slice them raw into salads just like apples. Just don't let them grow bigger than 4 inches or they turn woody.
Now, before we dive straight into the final 6 winter powerhouses, including the absolute undisputed king of cold salad greens and a cover crop that pumps free nitrogen into your garden beds, we need a quick favor from our homestead community.
We sure do. Head down to the comment section right this second and drop 2 things for us. First, what is your average first frost date and your USDA growing zone? And second, which of the first 6 crops we just covered have you struggled to grow in the past?
If a few hundred of us drop our frost dates below, we can map out growing windows together and help each other figure out what's still on the table for your exact backyard.
Now let's dive into crop number 7, mustard greens and arugula, the impatient speed demons of the autumn garden.
If you are the kind of gardener who checks on your seeds every 3 hours, expecting miracles, these are definitely the plants for you.
You're not kidding. These crops go from bare dirt to a fresh harvest in just 3 to 4 weeks. And they deliver a bold, peppery flavor signature that no plastic supermarket clamshell could ever duplicate. That punchy kick isn't an accident. It's an advanced cellular defense system.
It's the plant fighting back, right? Glucosinolates stored inside the leaves.
Exactly. The plant stores those natural chemical compounds in compartments separate from specific enzymes. The second a bug or a hungry human takes a bite, those compartments rupture and combine to create instant, spicy mustard oil heat. In summer, that heat can turn unpleasantly harsh. But autumn chill walks that bite right back, transforming it into a sweet, nutty, gourmet crunch.
And arugula has some pretty wild history behind it too, especially back in ancient Rome.
The Romans cultivated wild Mediterranean arugula for both its spicy leaves and seeds, assigning it a fierce reputation as a potent, romantic aphrodisiac. Meanwhile, mustard greens carved their own legendary path across the ocean, becoming a foundational pillar of Southern American comfort food, alongside collards and ham hocks.
What varieties should people look for in their seed catalogs?
Look for Southern Giant Curled for big, hearty braising greens, or Japanese Ruby Streaks, which look like ruby red stained glass in your salad bowl. Plant these tiny seeds no deeper than the thickness of a dime and thin them to 4 inches apart.
What about flea beetles? Those tiny black pests that love to chew pinholes in brassica seedlings.
The second your seeds hit the dirt, throw a lightweight floating row cover right over the bed. It acts as an impenetrable barrier against pests without blocking sunlight or rain. Scatter a fresh pinch of seed every week, and you'll harvest crisp, spicy greens right until the ground freezes solid. Moving right along to crop number 8, carrots, the underground candy vault.
Pulling a cold carrot out of mulched, snowy ground in mid-December is an absolute religious experience. You take one bite and you literally stop mid-sentence.
It doesn't even taste like the same vegetable you pull in July. Just like winter spinach, autumn frost commands the carrot root to convert its stored starch reserves directly into pure glucose, fructose, and sucrose. That sugary sap is the plant's built-in antifreeze, desperately keeping its root cells from bursting in freezing temperatures. The delicious sweetness is just a fabulous bonus for us.
And the best part? The garden soil becomes your personal walk-in cooler.
Your own outdoor thermal vault. Before your garden ground freezes solid, lay 10 to 12 inches of dry straw or shredded autumn leaves directly over your carrot row, extending the mulch 1.5 feet past both sides of the bed. Beneath that thick blanket, the soil holds steady between 35 and 40 degrees Fahrenheit.
You can literally walk outside during a January snowstorm, kick aside the snow, peel back the straw, and dig fresh, ice-cold carrots for dinner on demand.
But pay close attention to your calendar math. Carrots need 60 to 80 days to mature, plus an extra 2 weeks that commercial growers call the fall factor, because as autumn daylight shrinks, plant growth slows way down.
So speed is of the essence right now.
If you're short on time, choose fast-maturing Nantes varieties. Sow them shallowly, about 1/4 inch deep. Keep the soil surface damp for the 2 to 3 weeks germination requires, and thin them ruthlessly to 2 inches apart. Crowded carrots will twist around each other like braids and stay finger thin. And mark your calendar. Harvest every single remaining carrot before February warmth wakes the plant up, or the root drains all its sugars into growing new seed stems, turning your carrots pale, woody, and tasteless. Next up is crop number 9, Mache, the 0-degree emperor.
Also known across the pond as corn salad or lamb's lettuce. This might be the single most bulletproof salad green on planet Earth.
Without question. In hardiness trials run by four-season market growers, Mache sits proudly in the 0-degree Fahrenheit survival bracket alongside garlic and parsnips. It continues happily photosynthesizing in dim, weak winter daylight, long after traditional lettuce varieties have thrown in the towel and died.
And its backstory is even crazier than its frost tolerance.
For centuries, Mache was considered a pesky nuisance weed in European wheat fields, foraged by peasants in the dead of winter, when literally nothing else green was alive. In 1597, the famous English herbalist John Gerard wrote about it, scratching his head in complete bewilderment over why French and Dutch gardeners were deliberately sowing a common fieldweed in their clean beds.
Until the king's gardener at Versailles got his hands on it.
Exactly. Jean-Baptiste de la Quintigny, the royal master gardener for King Louis XIV, started growing it for the palace dining hall. And overnight, a humble peasant survival weed became an elite French culinary delicacy. Thomas Jefferson eventually brought it to America to grow at Monticello. And fun piece of folklore? In Germany, Mache is called Rapunzel, and the famous fairy tale was named after a mother's desperate, uncontrollable craving for this exact leafy green.
How does it taste? And how do we grow it?
It grows as a compact rosette 2 to 4 inches across, with a delicate, buttery, nutty flavor. It packs 3 times the vitamin C of grocery store lettuce, alongside hefty doses of iron and beta-carotene. Sow seeds barely covered in dark dirt. Cold-hardy varieties like Vit will easily sail through Zone 4 winters under a simple cold frame. Just remember, Mache grows slowly, so look at it as a late winter feast, rather than an early fall fast crop. That brings us to crop number 10, scallions, the immortal perennial.
Green, bunching onions look so tender and delicate when you chop them over a baked potato. But underground, they behave like absolute titanium.
That's the magic of Allium fistulosum, the true botanical bunching onion. It never forms a swollen bulb underground, which completely frees it from the rigid day-length rules that govern traditional big onions. The absolute champion variety to buy is Evergreen Hardy White, an heirloom dating back to the 1880s, often sold under the name Nabucca.
What is the maintenance routine for these guys?
Mid to late September is your prime planting window. You'll harvest crisp scallions all through November, and then the patch simply naps through the darkest winter freeze. Come April, when the rest of your garden beds are still bare mud, those scallions will wake up and push vibrant new green shoots.
And when they throw flower stalks in late spring, you just give them a buzz cut, right?
Cut the entire bunch down to 2 inches above the dirt. The root cluster will immediately push fresh, tender green onions straight out of the base. They thrive continuously from Zone 4 all the way to Zone 9, multiplying year after year.
Share your market grower's secret for getting those long, crisp, snow-white stems.
Blanch the lower stems. As the scallions grow upward, pull an inch or two of soil up around the stalks. Denying the lower stem sunlight keeps it crisp, white, and sweetly mild instead of tough and pungent. Just make sure you purchase fresh seed every single year. Onion seeds lose their germination viability notoriously fast after 12 months. Moving on to crop 11, collards, the indestructible southern workhorse.
Kale gets all the fancy magazine articles and smoothie endorsements, but collards are the ones doing the heavy lifting in real winter survival gardens.
Hands down! Because collards grow as broad, open, paddle-like leaves rather than tight cabbage heads. They are vastly more resistant to fungal rot, damp humidity, and brutal freezes. They are among the absolute oldest cultivated vegetables on Earth, domesticated over 5,000 years ago in the Eastern Mediterranean.
And in the American South, collards became deeply woven into African American history and culinary culture.
Deeply rooted. Grown in the small kitchen garden patches of enslaved families, collards were slow-simmered with smoked meats to create a nutrient-dense, vitamin-rich broth known as pot liquor that sustained generations through bitter winters. That culinary tradition thrived because of frost chemistry. An August collard leaf tastes tough and bitter, but 2 solid autumn freezes convert those rigid starches into rich, savory sugars.
How much space does a mature collard plant need in the garden bed?
Give them plenty of room. Space transplants 18 to 24 inches apart. A single healthy collard plant will turn into a towering 3-foot bush that produces heavy harvests all winter long. In Zone 8 and warmer, September collards will feed your family straight through Christmas and into spring.
And always harvest from the bottom up.
Strip the mature lower leaves and leave the growing center crown intact. The plant will keep growing upward, like a miniature green palm tree, handing you fresh greens for over 5 straight months. Finally, crop number 12, crimson clover, the soil's winter armor.
Now, this last crop isn't going on our dinner plates, but it might just be the most valuable seed you sow all autumn.
It is worth its weight in gold. Leaving bare garden beds exposed to beating winter rain is a recipe for disaster. Rain leaches out vital nutrients, erodes your valuable topsoil, and invites stubborn winter weeds to take over. A winter cover crop fixes all 3 problems while handing you something no expensive synthetic fertilizer bag can match: free nitrogen.
Crimson clover is a powerhouse legume that partners up with beneficial soil microbes to pull nitrogen straight out of thin air.
USDA research data proves that a healthy stand of crimson clover can pump up to 150 pounds of pure plant-available nitrogen per acre right into your soil, while leaving behind 3,500 to 5,500 pounds of rich organic biomass to feed your earthworm.
How do homesteaders sow and manage this in backyard beds?
Broadcast the seed across any bare garden beds right now, about half a pound of seed per 1,000 square feet. Rake it in lightly and water it once. Always make sure your seed packet says inoculated, which means it comes pre-coated with the specific beneficial bacteria needed to lock in that nitrogen.
It greens up in the fall, hunkers down during the winter, and explodes in April with brilliant, deep crimson flower heads that native bees go crazy for.
When it hits peak bloom in May, terminate the crop by cutting it flush at ground level with a string trimmer or shears. Lay that green material flat across the bed as a weed-suppressing organic mulch. Wait 2 weeks for the root channels to break down into the soil, and plant your summer tomatoes right into the richest, darkest dirt you've ever laid eyes on.
Look at the big picture here, folks. Your garden's true biological rhythm isn't dictated by the calendar on your wall. And it certainly isn't finished just because your summer tomato vines have crisped up.
It is governed entirely by soil temperature and shifting daylight. Right now, as the autumn sun drops lower in the sky, nature is handing you a second spring, without the scorching heat, without the endless insect battles, and with natural biological sugars turning your harvest into gourmet candy.
So don't put those garden gloves away. And don't let your raised beds sit empty all winter.
Hit that subscribe button right now for more hands-on, practical garden science with us here at Golden Acre Homestead. Grab a handful of seeds, head outside, and let's go put something incredible in the ground this September.